This is Jaime Rivera with PocketNow.com. Tony behind the camera. We're at the Samsung Unpacked event looking at the Galaxy S5, which we expected to be much different than what we actually have here. But since it is what it is, let's compare it to what it's trying to aim at. Both devices could not be more different than each other. The Galaxy S5 is sporting a 1080p 5.1-inch Super AMOLED display with a 1080p resolution, where in the case of the iPhone 5S, we've got the typical Retina display, and you can see this. I mean, this is huge. The Galaxy S5 is just huge in comparison to the iPhone 5S, even though this is the biggest iPhone ever. The Galaxy S5 is also, you could say, as thin as the iPhone 5S, though obviously it's hard to tell. Though obviously this is plastic. We've got this faux, no longer leather, but sort of textury plastic at the back, where in the case of the iPhone 5S, you obviously have aluminum and glass. Then, when it comes to everything else, I mean, think about it. This phone is clocking not a 64-bit processor as we were expecting. It's a Snapdragon 801 processor clocked at 2.5 gigahertz, where in the case of the iPhone 5S, we do have an A7 64-bit chip, but think about this. There is not enough RAM to actually take advantage of the 64-bit chip in the case of the iPhone 5S, so regardless, we could say that we have on-par devices here. Then, in everything else, we've got, for example, a 16-megapixel camera on this Galaxy S5 that is not optically stabilized, and in the case of the iPhone 5S, we have the typical 8-megapixel camera that is not optically stabilized as well. Now, one of the major differences with this Galaxy S5 is the fact that it's water resistant. Now, keep in mind, this is not waterproof, just water resistant, but hey, it's great. It's water and dust proof, and it's rated. In the case of the iPhone 5S, bear with me here, don't get this phone wet because it will get ruined. And aside from that, you also have this heart rate monitor that you do not have in the iPhone 5S, and we probably will see it in the future. We just don't know if Samsung's implementation is the best. Obviously, we have to test it in our labs first. Other than that, there is one big deal that is similar to these phones, and it's the fact that they have fingerprint scanning. And even though Apple does it with Touch ID on this button at the bottom, in the case of the Galaxy S5, it's actually a swipe towards the home button. And if it could get it right, let's see if it gets it right this time. And swipe to the entire pad and forget it. It didn't get it right. So let's use our proprietary password here. See if, notice, iPhone 5S, unlock, immediate, Galaxy S5, let's try one more time. No match. No match. No match. Something's wrong. But anyways, you get the point. It's really hard to get this right. It's probably a software glitch. We were trying it earlier and it actually did get it right a couple of times, but other than that, we've got Samsung's new TouchWiz UI. We're expecting new cards and the whole UI that we saw at CES, and no, this is pretty much almost the same TouchWiz that we know. We've got this sort of like magazine UI that it's already seen on the Galaxy Note 3, but then when we head back, it's pretty much the same panes, the same UI with different cards. Then we go into the app tray, it's pretty much the same UI, only with different aspects. And then when we go into settings, we do see that it actually looks a little bit like iOS. For example, if I go to Twitter, you'll notice that the top of iOS is covered by the full bar, and we get that same sort of aspect in UI in the Galaxy S5. Go into settings, we get this new UI, which is a little bit different in the case of the iPhone 5S. If I could find settings, because obviously this is the typical iOS 7, the UI that we're already used to. Samsung wants to do with icons. Apple keeps doing it the same way they've been doing it for 7 years. So the question is, which phone is right for you? That's a very interesting question. We'll obviously have the Galaxy S5 full review in our Pocket Now labs very soon. So far, these are dramatically different phones. Samsung is trying to do something better with this phone. We have the M7 co-processor for fitness on the iPhone 5S that has yet to be proven useful. The Galaxy S5 is trying to do it differently along with the gear, so we're definitely going to test these things and tell you which one is better. Anton behind the camera, Jaime Rivera with PocketNow.com at MWC, sweating like crazy, but we'll be back with more.